Outrage in America isn't new. It's one of our oldest pastimes, right behind baseball and racism. But what is new is just how much money entire industries are making off our outrage. Starting with social media, their entire business model depends on keeping your eyeballs on the screen until your tuchus gets numb on the toilet seat. And once the algorithm figures out what pisses you off, it runs with it, right off a cliff.
In the summer of 2019, Facebook ran an experiment. It created a fake account for a 41-year-old mom living in North Carolina. They called her Carol Smith. Carol started off by liking a few popular conservative Facebook pages like Fox News, Donald Trump, and Melania Trump. But quickly, Facebook began dragging her down a rabbit hole of misinformation. After only 2 days, Facebook recommended Carol follow a QAnon page. And a few days later, it suggested she follow another. By week 3 of the experiment, Carol's feed had become, quote, a constant flow of misleading and polarizing content, and so Facebook began sending push notifications. One notification was actually to a Facebook post claiming Barack Obama was born in Kenya.
Wow. Facebook radicalized a person in just 3 weeks. Even ISIS was like, why can't we get numbers like that?
Well, is it a constitutional right or is it baiting law enforcement? We're talking about people recording police on their own turf.
They call themselves First Amendment auditors, and sometimes these encounters are confrontational. Daniel Warmus of Alden does a lot of these videos. He recently sat down with News 4 Investigates. Luke Moretti reports.
Daniel Warmus is on a mission.
I saw you were in a restricted area. Now I want your identification.
You're not getting it.
Don't embarrass me. I told him, don't embarrass me.
He's testing the limits of constitutional protections under the First and Fourth Amendments.
Yeah, I'm working on a story. Got to get a little information in.
His YouTube channel, Auditing Erie County, has nearly 20,000 subscribers. His videos get thousands of views and hundreds of comments.
It's respect law enforcement completely.
Warmus travels the region with a cell phone camera, documenting encounters with police on their own public turf.
They don't own property. It's public property.
From Amherst.
Get your hands off me.
Over here.
Get your hands off me.
You want to see this sign?
To Dunkirk.
Am I being detained?
You're not being detained right now.
To Cheektowaga.
No, I need it.
Or do you want to get arrested?
To Salamanca.
You don't need to take pictures inside the vehicles.
Why not?
Because
a lot of people say, I can't believe you do this. You got a target on your back. I can't believe that, aren't you afraid that they're going to mess with you?
Warmus will show up at municipal locations and start recording with his phone. He calls it an audit. Not surprisingly, his presence prompts questions, even suspicion, like his visit to the town of Amherst Police and Courts Complex.
We certainly have a responsibility to keep our composure.
Warmus felt that he was within his legal right to access and record outside of the complex, but police challenged him.
It says restricted area.
This public property over here is not restricted access. There's no sign.
It says restricted area.
Warmus later called town supervisor Brian Culpa, and Culpa called him back.
Because a lot of times, a mayor or supervisor or chief, they're not going to call you back.
If they're in a private area, right, if they were in a locked or secure area, if they were inside a secured office environment, that would be a different animal. But if they're in public space, then, they're residents or citizens that, have the right to be there.
The U.S. Capitol on January 6th of last year was not among the places Warmus had a right to enter, according to the U.S. Justice Department. Warmus was arrested and charged with knowingly entering or remaining in any restricted building or grounds without lawful authority. Federal court papers included photographs of him at the Capitol that day. Warmus declined to talk specifically about the case against him because it's still pending.
Nobody's ever brought it up on an audit or nothing. I'm sure they know.
These days, he's busy focusing on auditing local municipalities, mainly police agencies. And he isn't alone. There are others with similar YouTube channels.
And what they really want is for you to engage with them and to make you look bad.
Across New York State, police are on to this unique social movement. Patrick Phelan is the executive director of the New York State Association of Chiefs of Police.
You need to have an understanding of how to react to somebody doing that to you, and understand that the best thing that you can possibly do is just not engage with them.
Daniel Warmus of Auditing Erie County says he tries to keep his encounters as professional as possible. He believes there is a credibility component at stake on both sides of the camera for him and his audience, and the police being tested.
I would consider it investigative journalism. I'm investigating whether the towns or the police departments are going to respect my First Amendment rights to record in public. I want to highlight good police officers. That's my goal. I'm out there to highlight good police officers, but on the aspect of, am I out there to embarrass them? I would much rather use humility.
If you just help me out and tell me who you are, who you're working for, whatever you're doing, maybe this will go a little better. But this is just a random guy taking pictures of police cars.
Is it illegal?
I didn't say it was illegal, but it's strange.
For police, it's really a training issue to make sure that you don't engage with these folks. If they're legally in a place where they're allowed to be and they're recording, just let them do it.
Daniel Warmus and others who do these First Amendment audits say they have a right to test police when it comes to their restraint and knowledge of the Constitution. And while it's ruffling some feathers here in Western New York and across the country, there's a social media audience out there with a big appetite for more. Luke Moretti, News 4.
But as bad as the internet is, studies show that it's nothing compared to how cable news increases polarization. Because at least on the internet, different viewpoints sneak their way into your feeds. But nobody on earth is flipping back and forth between MSNBC and Fox News. Now, all the major cable news networks rile you up, but no one is better at it than Fox News. They've become the top cable news network by making their viewers livid, and they're not subtle about it either.
This story will have you fired up this morning. U.S. soldiers now learning about the dangers of white privilege.
We have a story that will make your blood boil. Infamous social justice warrior Colin Kaepernick is now the brand new face of a Nike ad campaign.
If you just paid your taxes, this next story will piss you off.
This is going to enrage you. You're going to be outraged when we tell you what happened.
Prepare to be outraged.
Get ready to be angry. This story's going to make you sick. This story will make you want to throw your newspaper and make your blood boil.
He's the bodybuilder the FBI says is behind the pipe bombs that have spread fear and panic across America. 56-year-old Cesar Altieri Sayok is pictured wearing a Make America Great Again hat at a Trump rally.
Live from the Trump event, the next president of the United States.
And this is video of the accused bomber waving an anti-CNN banner at a Trump rally in Florida in 2017. He also apparently attended President Trump's inauguration. He lives north of Miami and posted these selfies on social media. Police and FBI were seen inspecting Sayok's van parked at an auto parts store about 14 miles from his home. The van's windows are plastered with pro-Trump political decals. As it was being driven away, a tarp covering it slipped away in the wind, exposing those decals. They include stickers expressing support for President Trump and photos of Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and other Democrats in the crosshairs of a gun sight. And that sticker targets CNN. Sayok has a long criminal record going back to the 1990s, including making a bomb threat and threatening to throw a destructive device. His target then was the Florida Power and Light Utility, and he allegedly said it would be worse than 9/11. He declared bankruptcy in 2012, claiming he earned less than $8,000 a year and lived with his mother in this apartment building. The arrest came hours after the bombs were traced to a mail sorting center in Opa-locka near Miami. As authorities were closing in, more bombs were discovered. One was intended for New Jersey Democratic Senator Cory Booker, a key figure in the Brett Kavanaugh hearings. Another was addressed to former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper at CNN. It was intercepted at a post office in Manhattan.
I gotta go that way or in the corner over there.
You will never see the light of day as a free man ever again.
The teenager who admitted to carrying out a deadly and racially motivated attack against black people at a Buffalo supermarket has been sentenced to life in prison without parole. Tensions were high in court today during emotional statements from the victims' families. Fox's Alexis McAdams has details tonight from New York.
The teenage gunman who shot and killed 10 people inside of a grocery store in Buffalo, New York, sentenced to life in prison without parole. Peyton Gendron shot and killed 10 black people inside of this Buffalo supermarket back in May. Investigators say the 19-year-old planned that attack for weeks, targeting those victims because of their skin color. Their families speaking directly to that gunman as he sat crying in court.
I hope you are haunted every day and every night. I hope nightmares invade your sleep and conviction be your constant companion.
I watched you kill my mom. I watched you shoot her once, reload, and shoot her again.
And Natalie, this all unfolded just a short time ago. The man at the center of this case appeared before a judge, and I want to get you right to that video. This is Joseph Amico. He's accused of making terroristic threats against a Manhattan attorney who filed a racial discrimination lawsuit against Fox News. Now, Amico allegedly became enraged and repeatedly called the attorney's office, making threats. Sources close to the case tell me the threats were violent in nature, threatening the attorney and threatening to blow up the Manhattan building. The NYPD's major case squad flew out to Amico's hometown of Las Vegas. Police say there he barricaded himself in his home for hours before surrendering to police. Amico's attorney, Todd Spodek, talked to News 4, saying,
the allegations are that he's contacted the law firm and made various threats regarding that representation of a number of plaintiffs in a lawsuit against Fox News. This was a situation where a number of people all over the United States were reaching out to the law firms, and I'm hopeful that this matter will be resolved in no time.
Amico is no stranger to police. He has a number of convictions in his past. Amico is due back before a judge here in Lower Manhattan on Monday. We're live in Lower Manhattan. I'm Mark Santia, News 4 New York.
So thank you, Cable News. Now, at the top of the anger food chain are the politicians who benefit the most from our outrage because politicians know that rage equals donations. That's why they're constantly pushing stupid culture war issues on us, whether they're real or completely made up.
This morning, a new warning about the dangers of misinformation spreading online and making its way into political races. And this latest claim that some school districts are providing cat litter boxes for students who identify as cats.
The first sign of the rumor in the U.S. appears to have been at this Michigan school board meeting last December, where it was discussed by a parent without proof, then shared on Facebook by a chairwoman of the Michigan Republican Party, referring to furries, the false story snaking its way across the country, and now into Republican stump speeches.
Have you heard about the litter boxes stuff?
Yeah.
If we don't push back on the craziness, it's not going to end.
A cat. They put tails on and they demand that they have a litter box in the school.
Not because there's actual cats in the room, but because there's kids going around licking themselves as though they're cats.
We've literally got kids who think they're cats and dogs using litter boxes in classrooms.
No, you don't. You literally don't. This is how I know it's a lie. Because they don't have one example of it happening. Not one. But that didn't stop them from spreading it because it benefits them. So long story short, if you're wondering why you're so angry all the time, it's not a coincidence. The system is designed to provoke you. And politicians like this system because they profit from it. They survive from it. They can say anything as long as it's what their audience wants to believe. And once you notice how much this system profits off your anger, it's not surprising that people would like the other side to just die. It's not surprising that people are afraid to dorm with the monsters who believe different lies than us. It's not even surprising when a mob of people believing they are righteous storm the Capitol, an event where, ironically, a bunch of furries used Nancy Pelosi's office as a litter box.